That was legit. Thank you, guys. Guys, we've got one last speaker, and I could not be more excited about this. Guys, I need you to dial in for this last speaker. So we got the pleasure of bringing one of my dear friends to come talk to you guys. When I thought about who could come speak to us, who could give us a good message, this guy came to mind. You guys have to hear his message. You have to hear his story. This is one of my life's biggest examples. I met him when I was in 9th grade, and I was at Farmington Junior High, and he was at a rival junior high, and I remember seeing him, and he was less than 100 pounds, but he was just killing everybody on the wrestling mat. Killing everybody, and he was a legend. Like, people knew about him. But the thing that was so cool about him is you looked at him, and he'll tell you a story, he stood out. But he didn't just stand out because of his appearance, he stood out because of the human that he is. This guy, and we all have people in our lives that are like this, but this guy, when you're around him, you can feel the energy. When you walk away from him, you want to be a better person. You want to be kinder to other people. And this guy, day in and day out, lives this life. He's a great example of Christ when I'm around him. And I love being around this guy. I truly want to go home and be a better father anytime that I follow his story or follow his example. But I got to become pretty good friends with him in high school. And you wouldn't know that he was going through a lot of different trials. You wouldn't know a lot of the things that was going on in his life because what he was going through, he never complained about it. But he was just working harder than everybody else. I've never met a harder worker when it came to like his sports accomplishments. And I am so pumped for you guys to be able to hear this and to be able to see his passion. And so without further ado, guys, I am so excited to bring to the stage. We're going to have a little clip so you can see a little bit about his story. But I'm so excited to bring Ben Kjar to the stage. Let's clap it up for him.
A local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it to his advantage.
The doctors would come to my mom and dad, and they would say, "Your boy's different. He's born with something called Crouzons syndrome."
It's a remarkable story of his refusal to let a rare birth defect define him.
There would be times that would be hard for me. Can you believe he even has any friends with a face like that?
Genetic mutations gave Ben Kjar a lifetime to make excuses.
I am a victor! I was born to stand out!
This guy has made it to the pinnacle of the sport.
Many of you guys here sitting in the seats right now are wondering, I feel you, Ben. I wasn't born with Crouzons syndrome. I wasn't born with maybe what you were born with, but you are definitely just as rare as I am. And because you're here in the seat today, because you chose to be here, I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause. A few months later, we would kind of find out what that meant. Crouzons syndrome meant that I would have to undergo a ton of surgeries. 14 hours underneath the knife, taking bones from other parts of my body and relocating them in my face just so it wouldn't absolutely just not function. So it wouldn't reject an unknown foreign body part from somebody else. What would happen is Crouzons syndrome means my face wouldn't grow at the same speed. And so what they would have to do is pull my face forward, cut my head open, put a trach in my throat, and then wire my mouth shut. The doctors would then tell my parents after these type of surgeries, "Mom and Dad, I hope you know that this physical part won't be the toughest part. It's going to be the emotional part that will be the toughest part." And so as I would go forward and start living life, I would have experiences that would test me. I would have experiences that would absolutely test my grit, resilience, and patience. We just got done with a documentary launch, a world premiere in Hollywood. And for the first time ever after my world premiere, I want to share with you a little piece of my documentary. Is that okay, guys? Is that okay? There was a moment when I was younger, when I was in a grocery store, and I had an experience that would change my life. Can I show it to you? Solar Pros, can I show it to you? Hopefully you enjoy.
But one time, my parents let me go to the store by myself.
Turn the volume up.
I had picked out a candy bar, and I'd sat there just feeling like a king of the world. And the guy who was in front of me was this adult man with his kids who I'd never seen before. He would look at me. He grabbed his kids, pulled them close to him, and pointed at me. He said, "Hey, get behind me, hurry. Get behind me, kids. Don't go near him. And don't touch him because he's probably contagious." And he got out to his car like this, like he was getting away from a monster. A lot of times I had been made fun of, but it was when the adults made fun of me. That's when I just broke. I would go home and I'd run in the bathroom and I would slam the door, just collapse against the wall.
I went up and tried to get in and he wouldn't let me in. I couldn't imagine what had just occurred.
I thought, I gotta figure out a way to physically take my face off. I gotta figure out a way to physically remove the difference. Luckily, my mom came in before I made any smart decisions.
At first, he wouldn't say anything. And then he started saying what had just happened. Ben felt like he was just broken and diseased.
And she just collapsed on me and she just bawled with me. And I just told her everything I was feeling.
It was the first time I had ever heard him say, "Why me?"
Very quickly after that, my mom put me in front of the mirror and she said something that would affect me for the rest of my life.
Do you think this challenge that is yours came because God looked the other way for a minute? Do you think that it's going to go away?
You're gonna attract attention just because you look different, Ben.
Other people do a lot for someone to notice them. You know, they act out just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. You know what? That's not your deal.
You were born different, so why don't you make a difference?
You're going to have to reach deep. But since you are standing out anyway, use it. Use what you've been made for and stand out.
I finally decided to choose me. I was so tired of walking down the hallway and hoping that I was Bobby and Billy and Tommy version 2.0, and I know you know what I'm talking about. I don't care how old you are, I know you know what I'm talking about. I know some of the guys and some of the girls inside this room right now are sitting in your seats, and you're wondering, if I could just be like, if I could just be their shadow, then life would be different. But eventually, somewhere down the line, you're going to figure out how to flex you. And I guarantee you today, Tyler would not ask me to come on stage. Solar Pros would not ask me to come on stage if I was still faking somebody else. If I was still trying to be somebody else's version 2.0. So when my mom put me in front of that mirror, after I just thought of if I could just take my face off and get rid of the difference, then life would be easier. But because my mom put me in front of the mirror and said, Ben, guess what? You're different. I get it. So why don't you go make a difference? Life changed. I started choosing me. And it wasn't a selfish thing. It was a self-mastery thing. And when I got a little bit of hope, I started calling my shot. Even though in junior high I was JV wrestler, I still called my shot. Centerville Junior High. There'd never been a 3-time district champion. There'd never been someone who had gone in and went undefeated all 3 years. Some of you guys are here tonight, are here today, and guess what? It's your first year. You're a rookie. I've met some of you. And you're wondering, how do you measure up with these killers that were just on stage? I'm going to say you don't. You measure up with how you can show up. You measure up with your best self. But I'm going to say this. Even though you feel like you're striking out, raise your hand if sometimes you feel like you're striking out. I'm going to raise both hands. Guess what? Just like Babe Ruth did, still point for the freaking fence. Still step in the batter's box, point for the fence, even though he was known to strike out way more times than he connected, and still call your shot. I'm going to tell you that when I started doing that, life changed for me. When I started calling my shot, my mentality changed. I went from victim mindset to victor mindset. I went from selfish to selfless. I went from completely scarcity mindset to abundant mindset. To the point that I started calling my shot in the public. This is my challenge for you guys. It's easy to set goals in private. It's easy to write your goals down and put them on your phone. It's easy to dream in silence. Nobody sees that. Nobody can hold you accountable. I get into high school. I met Tyler Jackson. I knew of him. His mom was my preschool teacher. I knew of this Tyler kid, but when I met him, I felt the energy. If you know what I'm talking about, give him a hand. Come on. And because of people like Tyler, I was able to dream big. Because of people like Tyler, I didn't just dream quiet, I dreamed with people like him in my corner. I show up to high school and there had never been a 3-time state champion. I come through junior high and I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. 3-time district champion, never lost in junior high. But I dreamed in quiet. I dreamed in silence. I show up to high school. I win my sophomore year. In my high school, there had never been a 3-time state champion. My junior year, my parents come to me. And they're like, we want to give you an early Christmas gift. And they gave me a Letterman's jacket. Raise your hand if you know what a Letterman's jacket is. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And they give me this Letterman's jacket. They're like, there's a couple patches to put on your jacket. How about you choose what's on your jacket? And I said, let's go. I want to invite you guys to watch a little snippet of what I chose. And sometimes what you choose is ridiculed. And that's what we fear. The fear of not being enough, the fear of failure maybe. But what if that actually drives you? And then what if you have someone like Tyler in your corner, who maybe when you fall, and maybe when you're having hard times, because we all have them, they say, put the jacket on anyway. Enjoy.
I had some high goals. My parents came to me. They said they're buying me a Letterman's jacket, which was a lot of money. I remember telling my parents, Mom, Dad, I got my last patch I want.
It said 3XSC, 3-time state champion.
It's one thing to set a goal in the corner of your room. It's another thing to stick it on your Letterman jacket where everyone can make fun of you if you don't reach it.
3XSC. I wrote that everywhere, just shy of tattooing it on my forehead.
I started noticing when he would sign his out cards at tournaments. Well, he'd sign a Banquet 3XSC. This is when he was a sophomore.
We've all had doubt, but I think Ben's just like, hey, I'll show them.
Eventually, we learned the news had gotten hold of the story.
Wrestling is a sport where it's difficult to hide any weaknesses. When a soft spot is found, a savvy opponent should and normally will capitalize.
I was so excited for this to be going out. Like, oh my gosh. They filmed all the posters on my walls where it said 3XSC, and they filmed me. This is crazy. And then the night that it's supposed to air, it comes on.
On the mat, Viewmont's best wrestler gives other wrestlers very little compensation.
And it's of me wrestling. But the filming was of me neck down. And I'm like, what are they doing? He doesn't even know how to hold the camera. And then all of a sudden, I realized why.
Viewmont wrestler Ben Kjar had a lifetime to make excuses.
They moved in to my face. And it was like slow motion. And like, this is what he looks like. Look at him. It's a weakness. All the camera angles were like really close up. Like, look at this freak, right? I felt like I was being mocked. I didn't like it at all. I was so afraid that people in my school saw it. I even thought about not going to school the next day. I'm like, I'm not going. I don't want to show my face. I go into my class the next day, and I sit in the back of the room. I just kind of sit there with my head down. I didn't want anybody to mention what happened the night before. And I looked up. My teacher, Mrs. Haslam, rolled open this whiteboard. And on the back whiteboard, she'd written 3XSC. And I didn't know what to say.
I remember thinking, that's awesome. There's a kid who knows what he wants to achieve and has all the tools and discipline to make it happen.
And she said, Ben, I watched last night. Thanks for putting yourself out there, and just know that we're all rooting for you. In a moment of complete self-doubt, she completely changed her perspective.
Be the Jill Haslam. Be the one that when you put your goal out there, you're the person who shows up when it seems like it ain't gonna happen. It's maybe the end of July. You got 30 days left, 15 days left, whatever it is. You're far away from your goal than expected. Be the person that shows up and says, guess what? Not you can do it, but guess what? We can do it. Guess what? Let's stand out and let's call our shot. My coach came up to me. We had never won a state title as a team, but because years previous, we'd thrown it out there. We had called our shot. We had pointed at the fence. We show up to a 3-day tournament for the state championships. We put it on our jacket, and then we absolutely were disobedient to average. What does that mean? It's not enough just to put it on your jacket. It's not enough just to go around and chat and bump chests and say, let's do it. But it means different, and it hits different. when you don't treat it like a 3-day or 3-hour work week. I know some of you guys, your prime time is 4 to 7. But I know, like my boy down here named Arthur, he goes by Artie, his first 90 days, he didn't get a freaking cell. So he starts showing up at 10 a.m. And he parked his car away until 8 p.m. and he wouldn't touch his car. And now guess who's the number one setter in this whole freaking company? My boy Artie. Give him a hand. Artie, where you at? My dude right there. That's an example. That's the sub 4-minute mile that you break. Some people told him, dude, you should just quit. Be obedient. You're not going to do it. Artie shows up and it's like, you know what? I ain't obedient to average. He broke this 4-minute mile. What happened in the history of the 4-minute mile? It happened again and again and again. My coach came up to me, he's like, Ben, it's day 1 after the 3-day championship tournament. It's your senior year. You've won the state title twice. Here's what I want you to do. Go to the pep rally for the school, and this is what you need to announce after day 1 of the 3-day state championship tournament. He whispered in my ear. I show up to the high school pep rally just like this. And because we chose to look at ourselves in the mirror, call our shot, and then absolutely psychotically work towards it, I step up in front of my school just like this, and I said, guys, after day 1 of the 2002 5A Utah State High School Championships, I announced that Viewmont High School is the state champions in wrestling. And everyone just goes silent. Because of our work ethic, because of our attitude, and because of our belief, we won the tournament with 2 more days still to go. Sometimes it's not about winning, guys. It's about how bad you can win. Sometimes, guess what? It's not about just accomplishing the 3XSC. Some of you guys, I get it, got the Golden Door last year. My senior year, it wasn't about not losing anymore. It wasn't about winning a state title. It was about not getting taken down in the state of Utah. And when you have that type of mentality, it's not a competition for the state anymore. It's not a competition for your region. It's a competition for the entire country or the entire industry. Things change. That's cute if you guys want to be the best one in this room. It's cute if you want to be the best one in the region. You were born to be normal. But my friends, what if you were actually God-given, born to stand out and be absolutely disobedient to average? What if that was actually an option? If you believe that was if you believe that's even an option for you, raise your hand. That was way too slow. Some of you guys are like, If you believe that's an actual option for you, to not just be the best in the neighborhood, raise your hand. If you believe it's an option to absolutely shatter your belief of what you can achieve, if you're disobedient to average, outwork everybody, and believe in yourself, say, that's me. Say, that's me. That's a little better, boys. That's a little better, girls. You ain't the solar rookies. You ain't the solar prepubescent adolescents. You're the solar freaking pros last time I checked. Is that right? Yeah. I got a ride from my boy. Over here from the airport. He said, I represent freedom. The Solar Professionals are our number one team that sells for us. They're absolutely the best. That's you. Give yourselves a round of applause. Sometimes when you're your best, sometimes when you're at the top, God comes a calling though. Sometimes in the middle of the summer and you're on the path to winning, you're on the path to accomplishing, you're on the path to doing the very best and breaking all the records. Top of your game. And just like me, hey Ben, literally, this is against your health. This is against your wellness. We have to give you another surgery. You're breathing, you can't sleep right. You literally can't function. Some of you guys are literally going through that right now. I don't know if it's an addiction that you're going through. I don't know if it's a death in the family. I don't know if it's in a divorce, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to work for you. Because it worked for me in my life. Here's some before and afters of my last surgery. I'll never forget, I was dating a cute girl in high school. And I came back, and the mom saw the before and afters. It was so funny. Her mom came up to me after I changed my facial, after I had a different face. And she came and she gave me a hug. And the hug seemed to linger a little bit longer, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, Stacy's mom, your daughter's got it going on. But I don't know what's going on here. Who can read this for me? Who's got a big voice? Right there, hand up, go ahead. Big voice.
If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
My man, what's your name? Cameron, what does that mean to you?
When we conquer ourselves, we conquer the world.
It didn't matter if I had a different face. I knew I was Leonardo DiCaprio baby before that. I love that. Right now, you guys are having a battle inside of you, and that enemy is inside of you. And that's what's holding you back. That's what's holding you back. When are you going to look in the mirror and be your own biggest fan? When are you going to look in the mirror and be so proud of who you freaking are that you like hanging out with yourself? When are you going to look in the mirror and be like, oh man, yeah, God did break the mold, but for the right reason, baby. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's going to be a time along the way that, guess what, you realize that all of this is for you. I speak all the time to people just like you. I'm sitting there, and a handsome, tall sales guy comes up from the back of the room. And I just got done speaking. And I'm like, this guy must be a killer. And he comes up and he looks down. He's about a head taller than me. And he tries to speak to me. And he can't get the words out of his mouth. He's like, Ben, I don't. And he had a stutter. And in that moment, he told me how he didn't know how to shine on the doorstep because of a stutter. And I said, my man, do you have any idea that that gets to work for you and not against you? I said, when is it that you don't stutter, my man? He's like, when I sing. I said, guess who gets to sing on the doorstep, baby? I said, guess who gets to go on social media right now and change your name to the stuttering salesman? And he's like, I do. He gets on and changes his name. Sometimes you're going to take what God gave you, you're going to absolutely roll with it, and you're going to actually flex who you are. I don't know where he is, but guess what? I would buy from the dude who came to my doorstep every day and was so vulnerable and said, I'm stuttering. So I'm going to sing to you my pitch. I call myself the singing, stuttering salesman. I'm buying from that dude every single day. This is a free gift to you guys. Every single year. This is a PDF. Every single year, I call my shot in these aspects. Guys, you guys know it's no secret. You guys understand that solar is the absolute, it's the illusion, right? You guys understand, you guys aren't here for solar. You guys get that, right? You're here because this place makes you a better human. You get that, right? You're here because my boy Hayden in the back of the room said, guess what, Ben? I'm not here because of the industry of solar. I'm here because these are the best guys that do this game. That's why I'm here. And if that ain't you, then upgrade. But you're going to recruit not to the solar industry. You're going to recruit to the life building industry. You're going to recruit to the victor industry. You're going to recruit to the industry where you get humans that come to you and you teach them how to stand out. It doesn't matter what you sell. They'll buy into you. Raise your hand if you have someone in this room right now, that exact example of being the person of why you came here. Raise your hand if you know someone like that. Keep your hand up. Let me ask you a question. This is the real stuff. I hope that these people who have their hand raised are thinking about you. I hope that people who have their hand raised back there are thinking about you. I'm just glad that everyone who has their hand raised is thinking about someone in this room. Give yourselves a round of applause. I used to dream, I used to wish that I was these people above me, the tall, dark, and handsome ones. But I tell you, that if I would have kept dreaming and being that wishful person, oh, one day if I can, I would have never been the center of this picture. And I would have never magnetically attracted the people I attracted in my life. You guys get it, right? If it's a secret, it ain't a secret anymore. Recruiting is a big thing here. You attract who you are. You guys get that, right? You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are, what you do. That shouldn't be a secret. Along the path of life, I finally figured that out at some level. And sometimes when you attract the right people at some level, it comes in the form of a freaking hot babe. Ah, yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. All right, that's enough. I'm still married to her. Come on. Come on. She'd be so happy if she were right here. She's like, baby, did you hear that? That was for me. I'm like, heck yeah, it was for you, baby. Come on. And you get that person. You get that person that lays down next to you or is in your corner. That when you go to Utah Valley University or any other school that has never done what you want to do and you lack the belief, can it happen? It's never happened before to be an all-American here. Why me? Why do you think I can do it? You get that person in your corner that reaches over to you and says, hey, Ben, I'm so blessed to be laying next to the first ever Utah Valley University All-American. You get that person on your team. You get that person in your region. You get that person in your business that believes you more than you even believe yourself. Are you that person? I'll never forget going out to Philadelphia. My final of last year at Utah Valley University. Utah Valley had never had an All-American. How many people have been to Philadelphia? Raise your hand. Yes. Who has ran the Rocky Steps? Raise your hand. Yeah, let's go. I have to weigh in the next day, right? And my training partner's like, Ben, let's go. Get your sweats on. Boom. Boom. We run to the bottom of the stairs where Rocky Balboa trains in order to fight the Russian. At the bottom of the stairs, you guys know, is a statue of Rocky Balboa, the underdog. I was unranked going into nationals, but I had been disobedient to average. On paper, I wasn't supposed to win. On ESPN, no shot. You know what? I'm lucky that they don't call my shot. I'm lucky that they don't know me. As I stood there over all of Philadelphia, I called my shot. And I said, watch me. As we became Utah Valley University's first ever All-American. They retired my singlet there. They retired my singlet there. It was another bucket list check. What is it that you guys are going to be the first at doing? Is it going to be the first person to be a millionaire in your family? Is it going to be the first person that breaks the cycle of poverty? Is it going to be the first person that actually doesn't end in a divorce? Is it going to be the first person that actually doesn't get addicted to drugs? Is it going to be the youngest person ever in the industry to get a golden door? What is it for you? I brought this in because we're in the land of Anthony Robles. Raise your hand if you know this guy. He's my good buddy. He just came out with a movie. He also thought that he could absolutely defy the odds. My buddy's in my documentary. He also got made fun of. And he also proved people wrong. Give Anthony a good round of applause. How many of you guys are parents? Raise your hand. Raise your hand proudly. Let's go. Somewhere along the way, you're going to realize that what you can control isn't always given to you. Let me say this. There's going to be things in your life that you can't control. One of 7 kids. My wife's one of 9. Somewhere along the way, I felt like, okay, when I have kids or when I'm married, I'm just going to have kids. It wasn't that easy. After a miscarriage of a boy, my wife calling me after she was pregnant with a girl and I was on the road. And she says, Ben, I don't know what to tell you, but you know how last week we went to the doctor? I said, yeah, babe. That baby girl is not breathing anymore. Can you please come home? I'm on the next flight, babe. Going into adoption, after 8 months of funding a birth mom, her sending us an email, 45 grand in, saying, it was good to meet you, but I've decided to keep my baby. Going back into adoption, and after 6 months and 35 grand in, The mom doesn't show up to her doctor's appointments anymore. And finding out through investigative work that she had placed the same baby girl with 2 other families and was triple dipping financially. And she disappears. I'll never forget just trying to fight for light in that moment, thinking that everything was a dead end. I'll never forget my wife coming up to me after we just heard that call and her just pounding on my chest. And she said, Ben, I can't believe this is happening again. It's like the baby's being ripped out of me again. Thinking that everything was a dead end, but in that moment choosing, you know what? God, this must be a new beginning. There must be something for us to learn. Going to bed so ticked off, and the next day waking up and looking at my wife and in disbelief still. And then the phone rings. The adoption director says, hey, Ben and Nicole, how quick can you get to the Midwest? There's a baby born last night. I don't know what darkness you guys are in, but I'm going to tell you, it's for you. It's happening for you. It's not a dead end, it's a new beginning. And as long as you keep stepping into chaos and breathing and facing fear and spitting twice, it'll work out for you. Just don't quit. "15 hours later we go, and I hold my baby boy. How many of you guys have got a call, not like an adoption, but you got the call to do something, and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I feel like I need to step forward anyway? How many of you guys have got a call that's so freaking scary you feel like you have to wear your man diaper because you're going to piss your pants? How many of you guys got the call to a mission, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, because there's nothing there, just like Indiana Jones to go get the little goblet? But guess what? You step anyway because you know it's who you're supposed to be. How many of you guys got a call like that and you step anyway? Look at these people. These guys are the freaking gangsters right here. Put your hands together for these guys right here. Come on. Those are the people who choose to be disobedient to average. These are the people who are the renegades. These are the people who stand out. And even though I didn't know if I would connect with this little kid, he wasn't in my blood. When you take the step forward, it works out like it did for me. I show up and the attorney, he's like, hey, listen, I don't know what to tell you, but this is a boy and I know you've had a ton of girls. I had like $1,000 worth of pink clothes in my house. This boy was tough for the first year, all pink clothes. He's a baller. He says, you got to go home and come up with a boy name tomorrow. You got to name him tomorrow, Ben. I'm like, oh my gosh. We go home, I put 3 boys' names down, and I go to sleep. I thought they were pretty cool names. But in the middle of the night, I wake up for 2 hours, I can't sleep. The name of Liam came to my head. None of those 3 names I put on that paper was Liam. I remember the day before, a couple days earlier, I jumped on the plane not knowing if this was the right thing, but I stepped anyway. Along the path, maybe some of you guys are here today not knowing if this is the thing. Step forward anyway. And somewhere along the way, you'll find the clue. I get to the hospital. There, the birth mom and the adoption director and the attorney come out of the room where they had just signed papers. And the birth mom says, Ben, Nicole, points to my wife, I hope you don't mind, but I wrote down a name that means protective warrior. I'm a big person of definition, and protective warrior just seems like a cool name. I said, what is that? What name means protective warrior? And in that moment, she says, I wrote down the name Liam. Your Liam moment, if it hasn't happened already, I hope it happens today. I hope you know you're in the right seat today. And I'm going to invite you to take that step forward. I'm going to invite you to call your shot. Point for the fence. And don't live small. Because when you do that, crazy stuff happens. Me and my wife literally walk outside that door. The adoption director's at the end of the hallway, hangs up the phone, and she's crying. And she looks at my wife and she says, Nicole, aren't you a twin? She's like, yeah, I'm a twin. Nicole and Ben, didn't you have 2 miscarriages, a boy and a girl? Yes, ma'am. What if I were to tell you that I just got off the phone with her birth mom 20 minutes away? The kids would be 5 days apart. And she would love for you to be the parents. What do you think? Before my wife could answer, I said, let's go! You know what the funniest thing is? My family had no clue. Yeah. We go home, we film it, we put it on YouTube. Goes out to social media, it kind of gets crazy. 85 million views later across all platforms. It reminded me of me putting the 3XSC and calling my shot on my jacket. Some people would celebrate you like the Tyler, like the Jill Haslam. Some people not so much. Along your path, as you point for the fence, everyone's going to say, but he struck out more than he hit. Don't believe him, and don't step in his corner. He might fail. He might fall apart. But what if we fall into place? What if it actually happens? Then what? How do you react? What's going on with that guy's head? I'm very glad for them, but did you see his head? This must be some genetic handicap. Maybe it's better not to give that to a child. Here's the question. How do you respond? Because of lack of time, I'm going to go through these a little bit, but you're going to get the gist of it. When you understand who you are, there's no apology needed by anybody else. Go forward anyway. You know where you're going. You know what your goal is. You know you're going to call your shot. You know the strikeouts are going to happen every now and then, but swing anyway. How many are Goonie fans? Raise your hand. Come on. Yeah. Baby Ruth, baby. That's me. I thought it was pretty dang funny, my man. Come on. I hope that my buddy, the stuttering salesman, shows up to the door. I just hope that they laugh at him, and I hope he laughs with them. I hope in that moment they look at him and say, I wish I was this guy. He's unfazed. He knows who he is. There is no enemy inside. That's when things change. Does this guy look human? Maybe I'm out of line, but WTF. In sales, this is the biggest gift and characteristic that you guys can take away. How do you react to quote-unquote failure? And can you turn the quote-unquote situation or sell around? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, or eye for a hug. I for love. In a matter of moments, you can take a reaction, a shutdown, and turn it into an opportunity where you invite someone who annihilates you verbally in front of millions of people into inviting them over to break bread with you and your family. When you understand your I am statement, when you know where you're going and you have the crew with you that supports you, life changes. The journey changes. And when you're on that path, rad things keep happening. 13 months later, may I remind you that I had 2 failed adoptions. If those adoptions would have worked out, this would have never worked out. If what you thought was your plan would have happened, the real plan and the plan that was supposed to happen would have never happened. 13 months later, I get a call from, remember Liam, my oldest boy? His birth mom. And she says, Ben, I know you probably don't know how to change diapers still, but would you take Liam's full blood brother? And before my wife could say anything, I said, let's freaking go, baby. I got my kids quick. I had hours to prepare. I was totally overwhelmed. How many of you guys have been overwhelmed before when you step in the batter's box and swing? Raise your hand. If you're not raising your hand, you better put another set of diapers on, baby. If you ain't having some sleepless nights, you ain't in my corner, baby. If you ain't sweating with me because we're living life to a totally different level to not just impact my neighborhood, we want to impact the world. I was sitting in Florida at an event similar to this. Ed Milet gets up, and I believe in calling my shot. He'd said something that changed my life. And in that moment, I called my shot. In this moment, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. I want you to write on your phone your shot. I want you to write on your phone right now your 3XSC that you're going to put on your jacket. You're going to put it on whatever you want to put it on so other people can see it. Put it on a hat, put it on a jacket, put it on a shirt. Embroider it on your car, I don't care. Tattoo, jailhouse tat on your neck. Call your shot, write it down on the phone. And then if you're brave enough, I want you to reach out to me on Instagram and I want you to tell me what your shot is that you're going to call. And then I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. Because now we're family. Now we're friends. And I want to be the one that supports you. I want to be the fanboy that pours into you, even in your dark times. I want to be the person that buoys you up, even when you don't think you can do it. Because people did that for me. This was the moment he changed me. Who wants to read this? Big voice. Right back there. Stand up. Yes.
One of the most insidious forms of child neglect is a parent who doesn't chase their dreams and potentials.
My man, raise your hand if you're a parent. I figured that in 13 months, I had a rude awakening. My kids were about 3 years old at this point, and they weren't listening to Dad, but they were doing what Dad did. At what point are we going to realize that it's not what we say, it's what we do? At what point are you guys going to realize on your team it's not what you say, it's what you do that matters? Raise your hand if you're with me and you agree. Say yes if you're with me and you agree. Yes. So guess what? You're going to go home. Raise your hand if you're a parent again. You guys are going to go home and guess what? Your kids are going to do what you do. They ain't going to do what you say. After 10 years of not wrestling, I strapped up my singlet. I called my shot. I went out to nationals, lost some weight. And with my kids in my corner, cheering me on, I competed against the best in the country. I can tell you what happened, but is it okay if I show you what happened? I outscored my opponent 64-2. I won 2 national titles. I got invited to represent the USA at the World Championships. Instead of me telling my kids, dream big, dream big, I said, kids, how about you watch Daddy dream big? I was going to say hold my beer, but I don't think that's good. Watch Daddy. Why don't you guys watch as they watch Daddy? So it's good to be back and throw my hat in the ring a little bit. Are you the person that they're like, that person? You know what? Long story short, I was at Russell Brunson's event in Florida, and Ed Milet, a speaker, gets up on stage and he says, you know what? There is a form of child abuse that we don't talk about a lot. And he said, well, the form I'm talking about is your kids not knowing how to achieve their dreams because their parents don't go out and try to achieve their dreams. My kids just went through their first year of wrestling. I have 3 kids, 3, 4, and 4, and I'm like, if I go through life and them never seeing their dad on the mat and do what he loved to do for a long time, that will have been bad. So I strapped up, lost some weight, came and wrestled, and there's nothing better. There's nothing better than having my kids on the mat cheering, go daddy, go daddy.
Oh man, that's awesome.
That's it. That's been everything.
Oh yeah. What? Who's winning? Me. Me and Daddy. You and Daddy are winning? Yeah. Alright. Okay, go stand on the winning podium.
My boy says, Mommy, we're winning. We're winning. When you guys are winning, everybody's winning. When you guys are winning, your kids are winning. When you guys are winning, your wife, your husband's winning. When you guys are winning, people are watching. They spoke to me. Before I was ever invited to go to the World Championships, you heard my kids say champion of the world. I went out there, I got in the finals, and guess what? Fear struck. With a minute left, I was winning, and I completely shut down. I looked at fear in the eye, and I allowed for him to be undefeated. I didn't even swing. I pointed for the fence, but I never swung at the pitch. I was so fearful that if I were to lose, that my kids wouldn't love me anymore, or they wouldn't love me as much. I remember walking off the mat and my wife capturing this picture of my boy Liam crying. Not because he knew what the color of the medal meant, because he saw his dad disappointed. We go back to the hotel that night, and guess what? My kids grabbed my silver medal and ran around the room, never knowing what the difference was between the gold and the silver medal, but being proud that they saw their dad compete. Luckily, a couple days later, I would get one more shot. And I gave myself a goal. I called my shot. I said, win, lose, or draw, I don't care. For you guys, it may be I have my goal, I call my shot, but I'm going to call another shot. Whether I achieve it or not, I'm going to call this shot. I'm never going to stop. And I set that goal. And as I find my way in the championships again of the world to go for the world title, there's a minute left and now I'm ahead. Same scenario. But this time, I didn't let fear go undefeated. And I wrestled and didn't stop. The Italian that I was wrestling with, 8 seconds left, gave up. I'll never forget wrestling, and he stopped and he went to go shake my hand. And I thought clock was done. I thought the match was over, so I went to go shake his hand. With about 8 seconds left, my coach was like, no, keep wrestling. Because he gave up. What if you went so hard that fear gave up? What if you went so hard that fear didn't know what to do anymore? Guys, you know what's interesting? I thought it was this, me being on the top of the podium was the reason why I showed up to the World Championships. I thought calling my shot and putting it on my mirror, if you were to go in my mirror today, I still have World Champion on my mirror. And it was there way before I ever accomplished it. I thought the national anthem at the top of the podium, me being there, getting the World Championship gold medal, was why I showed up. You guys may think that, guess what? Oh, yeah, I know Golden Door 750 now this year. That's when I know I've made it. But what if it wasn't that? What if it was your kids or your comrades or the people next to you that watched you go after it that made the difference? And that's what it was for me. It wasn't the gold medal. That's not the reason why I showed up. It was this. It was having my kids grab the gold and the silver medal and run around the mat with the American flag, never knowing the difference of the color of the medal. And them watching their dad dream and then put himself in the Coliseum to face fear. That's what you guys have the opportunity to do. This summer, tomorrow, this week, this moment right now. Hopefully you guys called your shot. Hopefully you guys put it out there so other people next to you can hold you accountable. And hopefully you guys don't shoot to be the best in your region. Hopefully you guys shoot to be the best in the entire industry. As you do that, as you're absolutely disobedient to average, don't treat this like a 3-hour day job. And keep showing up like my buddy right here. People talk about you. I'm excited for you guys to watch the documentary that comes out later this year. And for one moment, my parents thought I wouldn't live a normal life. And they were absolutely right. Guys, I could leave you with a lot of things, but I want to leave you with one thing. The moment that my mom stood me up in the mirror, the moment that I came back and almost took my face off, is the moment my life changed. The moment that I created my I am statement. The moment that I started flexing Banquet. So to leave you, I'm going to invite you to repeat after me my I am statement. Are you guys okay? Repeating this after me. Solar Pros, are you guys okay if you repeat this after me? Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to invite everyone to stand on their feet, and I want everyone to close their eyes. Everybody stand on your feet, and I want you to close your eyes. Some of you guys are going to be fearful because the person next to you, you don't want them to watch you. You don't want them to watch you go all out because the fear of failure. You may be fearful of putting it out there. You may be fearful of writing the 3XSC on your jacket, but I'm going to invite you to shut your eyes right now. And I'm going to invite you to repeat these words after me and put that seed inside you that will call your shot, that will change your future. Solar Pros, repeat after me. Now I choose me. That's okay, guys, but come on. Now I choose me. Now I choose me. I make a difference. I make a difference. I fight for light. I ignite extraordinary. I ignite extraordinary. Now watch me. Now watch me. Defy the odds. Defy the odds. Defy the odds. I am a victor. I am a victor. I was born to stand out. I was born to stand out. Stand out. Stand out. Stand out. Arthur, my man right here, is that all you got? Is that all you got? Well, then why don't you play big? Come on, man. Is that all you got, Solar Pros? Is that all you got, Solar Pros? Me neither. Me neither. How about you guys get your phone out, put your flashlight on, and let's shine a light here, baby. One more time. Who's ready to roll with me? One more time. Solar Pros, who's ready to roll with me? One more time. Now I choose me. Now I choose me. I make a difference. I make a difference. I fight for light. I fight for light. I ignite extraordinary. I ignite extraordinary. Now watch me. Now watch me. Defy the odds. Defy the odds. Defy the odds. I am a victor. I am a victor. I was born to stand out. I was born to stand out. Stand out. Stand out. Stand out. Stand out. You guys were born to be exactly you. You were born to be exactly the top version of you. You're born to call your shot, and you're born to be absolutely disobedient to average, and you're born to stand out. God bless you guys. Thanks for having me.
Love you, brother. Killed it.